Hi everyone, welcome to this video. Today we are going to talk about a specific type of transformation called a rotation. But before we begin, we need to look at some new notation that we're going to use. This is telling us how to do our rotation. The R stands for, yes, that it's a rotation, and that we are going to rotate triangle PQR, and we are going to rotate it 90 degrees about point O. And when we use an O, we are talking specifically about the origin. So that's just a commonplace. Again, when you see an O, it means the origin, which of course we know is 0.00, which is this red dot here. And this is very cumbersome because we actually need to take each point. We can't just rotate the entire triangle and just be done with it. We have to take each individual point and do exactly what it says here. So first I'm going to take point P, which is at 1, 2. And what I have to do is measure it to the origin. So I'm going from point P to the origin, and then I need to go the same distance this way that I went this way, and I need to make sure that it's 90 degrees, and that will be my new point. But before I begin, I need to make sure, again, and this is just helping you visualize this, I need to make sure that I have done a rotation of 90 degrees, so I'm going to use my great big protractor here and move it to the 90 degree mark, and yes, and then confirm that this is 90 degrees, so I have measured this properly. And then the next step to do this properly, I would actually have to measure this here, and then I don't know how to use this great big tool. I would then just twist it and measure it here too, but we're just going to kind of eyeball that one and say yes, these are the same distance. And that would give me P prime, and now I need to move on and do the next point, and that would be Q. So from point Q, I would draw a line to the origin, and I would measure 90 degrees, but I don't want to bore you with that great big protractor. And anyway, I would measure that it's 90 degrees, and then I would measure that this is the same distance from here to here, and that would give me Q prime. So I have 2 points so far. And then, again, you get the picture, so I didn't do R. This, if I did the same thing, if I measured from R to the origin, and R to the origin, and then I would again use my protractor to make sure it was 90 degrees, that would give me R prime. And then the last step would be to connect all three of this, or all three of these points, to get my new triangle. That was a lot of work, and in class I'm actually going to hand out a protractor and a ruler, and we are going to take the time to do this. But we can also do this an easier way, and that is to look at the pattern. So what I've done here is I've listed our new coordinates. So my original coordinate, or my pre-image point, was 1, 2. And my new image was -2, 1. Look at the pattern here. We have 1, 2, we have -2, 1. What we've done is we have flipped the x and the y, so we've just traded places here. We flipped these, and then I just took the sign of the quadrant that we were in. So in this specific quadrant, in the second quadrant, the x's are always negative and the y's are positive. So if you look here, I have a -2, which is my x coordinate, and my y is positive. And then for the q, just again looking at that same pattern, that the numbers were the same, so you couldn't see, couldn't as easily tell that we have flipped them, but I did. I have flipped them, and then looking back at this second quadrant, the x's are positive, they're negative, and the y's are positive, so I made this coordinate here negative and this positive. Here you can clearly see it. I've just flipped these, so I've put the 1 as the x coordinate, the 4 as the y coordinate, and then I took the sign of the second quadrant where the x's are negative and the y's are positive. So you can go through all that work and get out your protractor, get out your ruler, and it literally would take you about 10 minutes to do one. Or you can memorize these little rules that will help you when you're doing a rotation, because out of the reflection, the translation, the rotation, these are the most challenging. So the first little trick to kind of help you is, if you're doing a rotation of 90 degrees or 270 degrees, flip the coordinates, so change the x and the y, change their places, and take the signs of the new quadrant. And whoops, if it is a rotation of 180 degrees or 360 degrees, keep the coordinates the same and take the signs of the new quadrant. I want you to write these down on a note card, because these are going to be really, really helpful hints. And of course, if you know that what's behind it, you can always take the time and graph it step by step. I'll see you guys in class.